Hello, and welcome back to The Myth Within. I'm Dr. Tom, and I'm very grateful that you joined me here today. Today we're going to continue our exploration of the myth of Daedalus, especially as it relates to the pivotal part of the story that we begin to see the tragic nature of what happens when we fail as parents to build a foundation for our children to engage in life, especially as it relates to navigating the aspects of life that bring success and fruition of the fruition of one's dreams. Bulfinch's myth of Daedalus offers key insight into the nature of what it is our job should be as parents. That's to prepare the next generation for the flights that will lie ahead. Now, sometimes these flights could be rocky. Anyone who's ever traveled on a plane knows that there are aspects of turbulence that occurs, and this is common in air travel. It's common in the life path that we assume as well. And so Bulfinch's myth, the next part, the part where we're introduced to the tragedy, reads, "They passed Samos and Delos on the left and Lebynthos on the right, when the boy, exulting in his career, began to leave the guidance of his companion and soar upward as if to reach heaven. The nearness of the blazing sun softened the wax which held the feathers together, and they came off. He fluttered with his arms, but no feathers remained to hold the air. While his mouth uttered cries to his father, it was submerged in the blue waters of the sea, which thenceforth was called by his name. His father cried, 'Icarus, Icarus, where are you?' At last he saw the feathers floating on the water, and bitterly lamenting his own arts, he buried the body and called the land Icaria in memory of his child. Daedalus arrived safe in Sicily, where he built a temple to Apollo and hung up his wings and offerings to the god." Here we have the tragic part of the story. Icarus wanting to separate from his father and separate from his father's advice now is left to his own accord to navigate the trials and tribulations of life. He begins to ascend, which is a natural part of our human evolution. This really touches upon the ideal of spirit. Spirit rises, and the spirit of humanity needs to have this movement upwards, this ascent, but it also must be grounded within values that create the means by which the ascent can have direction. And so a person that wishes to ascend without a vision that they're moving towards, the danger is the flight could get too high and the tribulations could become too rocky. And in that, it shakes the wings apart here. Here, the tool, the wings, they represent flight. And a child will have flights of fancy. And they want to ascend into this person they want to become. But that person they want to become must have a basis of morality present, a basis of values, or that ascent can become dangerously high. It could go into directions that could adversely affect a child's life as they're trying to navigate towards becoming a successful adult. And so the key here is really to help a child begin to develop a dream. It doesn't have to be the dream like my child, the doctor, my child, the attorney, my child, the president or CEO. That would be a parent instilling their dreams upon the child. Instead, we must help the child begin to realize what their dreams are, and then begin to set the stage for them to have tests, initiations, if you will, into the needed aspects of personality and the needed aspects of skill sets that will be present when they ultimately acquire that dream. Now, children's dreams, they shift. They move from direction to direction. And this is a normal phase of even adult consciousness. And so if we keep an eye on the vision, i.e. a future orientation, and then one eye on the present moment, what step are we working on right now to make that dream become a reality? Now, in the story, Icarus is pleading for his father. He leaves his father's side, and then he realizes he makes a mistake. And the cries are drowned out by the sea. And what happens here is we see the aspect of the sea present, and this is really the unconscious. When we sink into the sea, we go into the depths of what is there, the feminine. Now, a lot of the story up until this point has masculine themes moving, but Icarus eventually falls into the feminine, the unconscious, and the aspects of the sea swallow him. Now, this may represent an actual physical death in the case of Icarus, or it could also represent a psychological death. Maybe the boy has died in this story, and this really brings up the death and rebirth motif common in many world religions as well as mythology. Now, Icarus dies in the story, but the seed that's named in his honor lives on. Now, when we go into the depths of the sea, here we begin to pull out the ideals that are needed really to move beyond, to set the foundation, and move beyond that foundation to rise in a natural manner. Now, what happens in the story is here the story begins to end. We see that Daedalus builds a temple to Apollo and offers his wings in honor to the god, and he lost his son. Now, in all reality, all of us that have the luxury of being a father, we lose our sons. We lose them to adult life. But we want to make sure that they have the moral foundation and the value-based skill set to navigate life as it relates to becoming a successful adult and moving towards their dreams. So they must go through this journey of going into the sea, but then it's our job to also help them rise from it. Now, in myths, we may not change the story's content, but we could also learn from both sides of the equation as we work the paradox present to create the means by which we could see healthy diversions into development for children, as well as our own developmental journey as fathers and adults. I really thank you for joining me here today, and I look forward to reading the next part of this story in our next segment. Until next time, I wish you namaste, my friends, and may blessings find you as you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams, or even helping your children advance confidently in the direction of theirs. Bye.